and welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Average Jay's podcast. I am Jay Justin Ruiz,
And I'm Jay, Jeremy Francois.
and if you're joining us live, you would have gone to twitch.tv/, the Average Jays. If not, you're listening to us after we've already recorded this episode
Yeah,
on anywhere that podcasts are available. So anywhere pods are casted, you can listen to us. So today we're gonna jump right into it. We have a couple of things to cover, but it is
yes.
January 3rd, 2023. We have entered a whole new year. An
It's like
entire
just all together, just went through the portal.
a whole new realm of possibility. 362 days left to do it big. So,
Yes,
right?
a whole new world.
The math is right?
I think yes,
Okay, cool.
I believe so.
So, we're going to jump right in. First off, we have a couple of celebrity news here that we want to cover. Big one that kind of broke the internet the other day. Jeremy Renner has gotten into an accident near Reno, Nevada, on his property. So apparently, he was run over by his own like giant snowplow on his
Yeah,
property. He was it was stuck in the snow. He went and got a different thing to move it out, and then it started to kind of roll on its own. And he tried to get back into the seat to kind of get control of it, and he ended up, I guess, slipping, and it ran over his body.
yeah,
So this thing is like incredibly heavy. Apparently, Variety was the first one to report on this, but I've seen it at a couple different outlets. But it's about 14,000 pounds, so it's like
yeah.
7 tons. Um, I've heard conflicting things about what part of his body it's run over. There has been no, I guess, real confirmation from his team or anything like that.
Yeah,
He
there were many numbers on like something on his chest or something like that.
Yeah, I heard.
Like yeah,
I've heard it ran over his legs, his chest, his torso. So it rolled over his body. He was in critical condition, but he is stable. He actually sent out a photo today, I believe. Yeah, today
yeah, a couple hours ago.
he shared an update on Instagram, just thanking everyone for their kind words. That he's still obviously very beat up in the photo. He's covered in a bunch of scrapes and bruises, but everyone send some love, thoughts, and prayers over to Jeremy Renner. Hopefully, he comes out of this as unscathed as possible. So
I
another
feel like I don't know why I took it as like a sense of humor thing where he was just like, I can't type, but thanks for all the. I kind of chuckled when I read it, so I don't know
yeah,
if it was meant to
his
be
caption
funny.
was, "Thank you for all the kind words. I'm too messed up now to type, but I send love to you all." I mean, Jeremy Renner, he's a very like he's a pretty humorous guy, so I'm sure it's his way of just like poking fun, like you said, at the situation. Um,
Yeah,
but I'm hey, if you're able to take a selfie and write a quick caption, that means you
that's
got to
true.
be on some road to recovery, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
like I said, thoughts and prayers out to him. Send some kind words. Do what you can for our favorite Hawkeye. So another person that's in the news for some,
Horse news.
bodily accidents. We have Buffalo Bills player Damar Hamlin. He collapsed yesterday. Wait, no, today's Tuesday. No, it was yesterday. Yeah, he
It
collapsed
was yesterday.
yesterday during the game, and he had to be rushed out. He had both CPR and a defibrillator, I believe.
Done right there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
done right there on the field. Um, yeah, it was a pretty serious collapsing. I mean, most of the time players are at least able to kind of walk off the field, but it was pretty shocking to say the least. So
I didn't see. Did you see it? I didn't see the video or clips because when I heard about it,
mhm.
I saw. I remember like watching the news, and then I would see like they were talking about how the camaraderie between both teams
Yeah,
were just like huddled around him, kind of doing this big, huge. I don't want to say seance, but prayer. to like get everyone in this one mindset. And then I believe it kind of like emanated toward the stands as well. They were just like, having this group prayer thing. And then, like you said, there was a doctor doing CPR and then did like some makeshift defibrillator thing. I don't know like the details of that, but it was good enough for when the paramedics actually showed up. They were able to put all the stuff they needed to get him set up, and then rush to the hospital nearby.
Yeah. So I haven't heard anything else since then. I believe he was rushed to the hospital. He's stable, but I haven't heard any other updates. But yeah, I saw some pictures. I actually heard about it first. My wife was the one who was like scrolling social media and it came up and I was like, "What?" And then she sent me
Yeah,
over what was going on. I saw some pictures of what was happening in the moment. But yeah, it's nice to see everyone being like actual humans and coming together and being like, "All right, let's take a moment, make sure this
yeah.
guy is good." Because
They're
in
just not like,
reality,
oh, the game.
yeah, like in reality, it's they're his team. That's a really big bond. You band of brothers mentality. But the other team, you gotta remember, those are like your coworkers, man. This is a day in the office, so
Yeah, the other team members, yeah, exactly. They're not. They're supposed to be your frenemies
yeah,
or like
exactly.
or rivals, but never an enemy. So the fact that they were a part of that big prayer
Yeah,
was pretty wholesome.
just
It was
kind of
nice to.
like making sure their coworker teammate is good. Just kind of standing around together, just in unison and trying their best to kind of comfort each other in those trying moments, because that's a hard thing to see. Like I said, a coworker, a friend, a brother, teammate,
Yeah,
like see someone collapse like that, and then being, you know, it's almost a spectacle, unfortunately, since it is on such a grand stage. So
yeah,
it really brings it back home and realizes like, oh wow, like these people are really just hoping for the best for their friend. So like I said,
true.
everyone keep Damar Hamlin in your thoughts and prayers, and hope for a speedy recovery there.
Yes,
So now segueing over, getting into some lighter stuff, the lighter side of our news today. We're going to be talking
yes.
about some TV and movie stuff. So, right off the bat, we have a pretty big one that I think is, but I gotta say, on everyone's most anticipated for 2023 list,
I
right?
would say so.
Like,
Like every and of new, and I'm talking about not returning, but new.
yeah, new.
Like this is on
Like this
everyone's.
is this has been a pretty big deal over the last year or so. Last of Us on HBO is finally dropping January
Shopping.
15th.
I was like I called out your bluff.
I'm going to say that one more time. Yeah, thank you for calling the flub, Jay. One more time. January 15th. Do you realize how soon that is?
Super soon.
That's a week and a half away.
I can't wait.
Like,
We're gonna have to talk about it. Like it's gonna take
well,
a
oh my
nice
god,
chunk.
yeah. That
Like it's gonna take a nice chunk of our segment.
yeah, that premiere we're going to do a pseudo, I guess, review thing. But
Like
because
I
we've
would,
played the
I
games,
would.
we know what it quote
Yeah,
unquote should be.
yeah.
So
I don't expect it to be the same exactly. I want to see something different, but um, kind of like, and I still need to watch it. But like Halo,
mhm.
like it doesn't need to be to the T, but there's certain things that they, not to strave off and go off tangent, but like in Halo, I've heard and I didn't like the idea of him taking off the mask. Definitely tell me different story, but why take off the mask? Why didn't we keep something consistent? So I hope certain things stay consistent in this show,
Yeah,
but tell me a different story because we don't want to see the game, but then enough for the normies to get into games. You know what I mean?
yeah. So I'm kind of like, I don't know. I'm typically like a traditionalist, I guess you want to call it. I never want
Yeah.
anything to change. I just want it to be on the big screen and it happen in real time,
Happen the
like
same
what the
way.
video
But the
game
thing is,
was.
but the thing is, you watch Marvel movies and they're never exactly the same.
So
So,
it's
like, for
if it's
someone,
done properly, I'm
yeah,
okay
that's what
with
we want.
adaptations. Like
Yeah.
my biggest thing, I think, what gets me for adaptations, whether it be TV, movies, video games, give me respect for the characters and you
Mhm.
can kind of tweak the story a bit. Like I don't
Yeah,
mind that. Like kind
we
of like what
shouldn't
you were
know the
saying
ending.
with Halo, right?
Hmm.
Master Chief was never supposed to be taking off his mask like that. I thought that was a really stupid decision. Um, I don't mind them mixing up the story, giving it new life because Halo is a franchise that's been around 20 years. So
Basically,
we know what the story, we as in the people that are familiar with Halo, we know the basic story of what it is, but the characters I think are the biggest thing. Like don't give me Joel dying in episode 1 or 2. I don't need a crazy mix up like that.
yeah, we don't need some crazy stuff like that.
But
That's fact.
but I can understand like, you know, changing it up a bit, right? Like I'm okay
Yeah,
with that.
yeah. Just to keep it concise as well, like there are certain layers to adaptations. Like I don't mind adaptations. Like for example, classic adaptation that did well, Akira. When it became an animated movie, the manga, the movie is not the same. It's like a short version of the manga, but it does its own story.
Okay.
But then if you're talking about like Japan and mangas in general, for those that are listening for the first time, mangas are Japanese comic books. When they turn into anime, it's always the same exact thing, which there's nothing wrong with it. But then if you want to see something different, then you get either the live action adaptations or side stories or what do you call them? Non-canon stories.
The filler.
Um,
Filler stuff.
yeah, basically fillers. Yeah. Again, it just got to be done right. Again, it's definitely for the audience to judge, but never going off tangent. And it depends who owns the characters too. And yeah, looking at HBO, not saying they own the characters, but looking at HBO with great writing team, the writers that did that worked on Chernobyl, which I haven't seen, but I've heard great things about. I can see them from what I've seen. I think this is going to be a pretty good show.
I think it's gonna be atmospheric, which is what it should be, and big sets. That's what I want from this show. Huge sets.
I'm sure the last Chernobyl did the same thing.
Exactly. Yeah. But like intimate moments, especially, with the Joel and Ellie bond and I want that tenseness that you kind of got in the video game. It's a little easier to do it in the video game method because you
Like,
are
wait, what is he?
controlling like the tenseness, like like the
It could be done on like what kind of tense? Because if you're talking about like the action sequence, that could be done in live action.
No, yeah, and this is what I'm saying. I want to feel like so when you're playing through Last of Us and there's certain things where like you turn the corner and you're like, "Oh, snap. Like there's a clicker right there. I can't move." And then you have to like figure out a way to.
That's in the trailer. We definitely get that.
I know, but I want it to be like a real intense moment where I'm like at the edge of my seat and then like I want high, like not high octane, like I don't want Fast and the Furious stuff.
Right?
Like I don't need that.
He's gonna walk into the screen like I do this for family.
Like I don't need that much action.
One shot.
But those intimate moments where it's like, oh snap, like something can happen. Like give me season 1 Walking Dead, but with HBO budget. And I think we're in a good spot.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's like every time, like one of the things where you can pick up on, for those who are familiar with Walking Dead, every time they walk into the room, it's like, it's way too quiet. It's one of those things where I'm sure they're going to do, it's like, it's way too quiet. Oh, there's a clicker. Or it doesn't even have to be a clicker, because clickers are like the mini bosses every time you get into those crowded rooms. And it doesn't have to be one of those, I forget what they're called, but the big boomers, they kind of like remind me from Gears, the big ones that throw the spores.
Yeah. I think are they not called boomers?
I remember boomers were the ones from Gears of War, the big ones.
Yeah.
So maybe
that's how I'm wrong too. Yeah.
You might not be wrong, but bloaters. Yes, because they were bloated. Anyway, I feel like it's going to be a good show, and I think they'll deliver on what you're saying, that tense intensity. I think it's going to be done. If they can definitely make that work. I'm excited to see Nick Offerman like I'm definitely excited to see Pedro Pascal. I forget the young woman's name, but I always remember her as the badass. Say it like that, the badass from Game of
Game of
Thrones.
Thrones when she's the Lady Marmont. Like, oof.
Yeah, like that's how I remember that. I forget her real name. But when she does more stuff, and when we watch the show,
Yeah.
I'm probably gonna keep her name intact in my brain. But definitely excited to see Nick Offerman. My man's Ron Swanson just doing the thing.
I want it
it's
to be
definitely not gonna
where
be Ron
he's
Swanson.
actually Joel. Like Pedro Pascal ends up being Tommy, the brother, and then we see him for like 2 episodes, and that's it. And then Nick Offerman comes in as Joel, and is with Ellie for the rest of the show. That's the kind of retelling that I want.
It just happens. He's just like, yeah, I lied. I'm Joel this whole time.
Yes, like that's what I want. I want a huge curveball just like that. But yeah, so good things. I can't wait to go see. I can't wait to see it when it comes out,
Gonna
and
go
we're
see
definitely
it.
going to be talking about it more as the show goes on and as more stuff comes out about it. I can't wait to see like all the different types that they have, like all the different types of infected. So it's going to be dope.
Yeah.
So
You said go see it earlier. It would have been dope if they're like, let's release it in IMAX. But even though like that would be dope if they just did like a
we
like,
can't even. That's a pie in the sky, huge dream. We can't even say that. You know,
I know.
I hate
But it's you saying that made me think like, oh, what if you could go to
because
the
if they
theater?
would have done like the first episode or the first 2 episodes like available in IMAX, like, ugh,
You have to go see the rest of the
Yeah.
season like that.
I like not even. I would be comfortable like remember when Marvel did it. I mean, it's a terrible example, but when Marvel,
Oh yeah,
did it
I
with,
exactly know what you're. Yes.
yeah, it would have been great, and like something like this actually probably could have pulled it off pretty well. I mean, maybe a limited engagement. You're not gonna have every AMC playing this on a bunch of theaters,
Oh, yeah.
but yeah, give me limited engagement, IMAX theaters only, maybe, and I would have went to go see it.
You know what? You would have done the 4DX where you hear the clicker in your ear.
That would have been so. For those that don't know, they're these things called 4DX theaters. They have them a little more. Like I've been seeing them pop up a little more often now. They're all over the place. Some AMC's have it, Regal Cinemas, but there's one in Orlando that I've gone to before. It's a 4DX. I saw, for fans of the show, they'll remember when I spoke about it. But I saw Spider-Man No Way Home in 4DX, and that is quite possibly one of the best ways to watch a movie ever because you're in big seats, but at the same time, you have speakers right on the headrest, and the theater is outfitted for certain special effects. So, like when a water scene happens, you get like splash in the face with like some mist. When certain explosions happen all over the screen, like there'll be like smoke things happening, and
Yeah.
the seats move a little bit like with certain things, and you can feel like stuff in your back, like when a character like falls or rolls, the seat will jostle with it and all that. This would have been a fantastic immersion for a 4DX. Like,
Because you imagine when you play it, you stop breathing sometimes when you're playing the game.
yes,
So you
and
come
those
you're in
tense
theater.
moments that I'm talking about would play so well in a theater like that. But
Yeah.
I digress. Speaking of tense moments, though, I actually just saw this earlier today because we
So you
just
saw
got the trailer earlier today. So, Evil Dead, the
Oh.
classic horror comedy from Sam Raimi, is getting another reboot. So, for those that don't know, technically this is the third reboot. Evil Dead 2 back in 79 was like kind of sought to make it a little like funnier and gorier and stuff like that. And then the second reboot came in 2013. I actually enjoyed it. I enjoyed the 2013 retelling.
Okay.
It was more on the like bloody gory side. There wasn't like a lot of like comedy and stuff, but there was little nods to it. I enjoyed what it was. And now this would technically be the third reboot.
He's producing it, right?
Excuse me?
Wow, Sam Raimi. I forgot his name for a second. He's producing it. He's not directing it.
No, he's not directing. It's the guy. He did another one.
I did hear about it too, and I'm like, I know who it is. Why can't I remember the name?
It escapes me right now.
I'm
But
doing my research very
yeah,
quickly.
if you wanna take a stab at that really quickly. So we got the teaser trailer today. It is literally like 20 seconds, and
Lee
it's
Cronin.
that person. Say it again.
Lee Cronin.
Yep. So
What has he done?
things,
Okay, go ahead. I'll do the research.
certain
I'll be the guy
things,
in the chair.
certain things of a cinematic nature. Uh,
Gotcha.
but like I was saying in the trailer, it's like 20 seconds long. It's just a little girl getting on like a stool and looking through like a peephole and seeing a zombified version of her mom. Um, so Evil Dead Rise is the title, and it will follow Beth as she reunites with her sister Ellie and Ellie's three kids. But when the group find a book in the basement of Ellie's LA apartment, all manner of evil comes back to haunt the building. So they're gonna find the Necronomicon. It's gonna, open up. They're gonna read something, and all literally all hell is gonna break loose. So I've always kind of enjoyed Evil Dead's slapstickness. And obviously Sam Raimi and oh my gosh, what is his name? I can't believe I forgot his name. Ash from Evil Dead. He's in all the Sam Raimi Spider-Mans also.
Yeah. It keeps popping in my brain, and then I'm like forgetting it. Hold on, I got you right now because the chinny chin chin. Ash Williams.
No, that's not his real name.
Oh fuck.
Bruce Campbell.
Whoop.
Bruce Campbell.
Thank you. Bleep that out, Mark.
Bruce Campbell. So I don't know if we're gonna see a Bruce Campbell-esque character or even Bruce Campbell come back in it. There was a lot of success with the sci-fi show Ash versus Evil Dead. That wrapped up a couple years back, but you never count it out. Bruce Campbell is one to like to do cameos and stuff. He has a huge.
I wouldn't be surprised if he did do it, and if he didn't, it'd be surprising, but at the same time, not as much because it's like kind of pass on the torch to whoever is going to be next.
Yes, and he has a huge love for the franchise. So it is set to release on April 21st. So the latest installment in the Evil Dead franchise for all you Deadheads, for all the horror fans out there. Keep an eye on it. It seems pretty interesting. I mean, they at least have to have someone with a chainsaw. Like, it has to happen.
They have to make nods.
They have to. Because even the 2013, for it, like, being quote-unquote a little more grounded, they had a nod to the chainsaw thing, and it was dope. And if I'm not mistaken, they even had a, like, mid-credit scene with Ash, and he just says, like, groovy. And it was like kind of like, is there gonna be another one with Ash? Like, it was fun.
Nice.
So I'm gonna keep an eye on this. And I'm a huge chicken. I don't usually watch scary movies, but for whatever
this is something that you've messed with. Like
for whatever reason, Evil Dead has always kind of had like a little place in my heart. I will be watching it with the lights on though, so let's not get twisted.
No judgment.
But also, speaking about trailers, we did receive a trailer for 65, the new Adam Driver helmed cinematic experience. Jay, talk about it.
We'll talk about it. So it came out a while back, not a while back, but the trailer's been out for some time. Mm-hmm. But I don't see it popping up or getting a lot of love as of late, but probably when it gets closer, you're going to start seeing more of it. Did you see the trailer at all?
I actually haven't. I've only seen the poster for it. I didn't even know the trailer dropped.
Yeah. So it's it's a pretty large amount of footage. So the movie, it kind of says that it takes place in the far future where you can see the technology he uses is very, very high sci-fi, but he's trapped in I guess, almost a Jurassic Park-esque world. Mm-hmm. And my brain is going, did he go back in time by accident or did he go to a different planet? My assumption is that he went to a different planet, or it's something about a parallel universe where dinosaurs are still existing, blah, blah, blah. That is just my assumption. I would say definitely for those who haven't seen it, check out the trailer, but it's him and this is why it gets confusing because it's him. He speaks, the common tongue, whatever language you're watching this trailer, and then when he's finally, yes, he Wakanda forever. He finds this girl, but the girl either she doesn't know, like again the common tongue, either English or whatever, and she seems to repeat things that he's saying. Like I think he says we're gonna go home, and she's like home, and I was like, did he find her there or was she trapped? It's something like they're trapped on this planet. And I have to rewatch it again because it was a while ago. But is it Earth or is it this, planet infested with dinosaurs? Because there seems to be something else other than dinosaurs. It's pretty interesting.
To turn like you ever play Turok?
No, but I know what you mean.
So it's a dinosaur hunter. Depending on which one you played, it's like a Native American that's like the spirit of Turok is like a hunter, and it's like the warrior that's meant to save, and it takes place with dinosaurs. So either that or we can get like a Predators situation, the one with Adrian Brody, where it's like they wake up on this planet. It seems prehistoric, but like they have no clue what's happening. And then as it unfolds, there is another entity that is hunting or doing something to them.
Yeah. I feel like, and then that's another thing. Like, I don't know. They could go do something similar to that route. When I think of it, I think of like the premise of Planet of the Apes, where like if you watch the OG or the early Mark Wahlberg one, the early 2000s, where dude flies off the planet, comes back to only find out it's infested with dinosaurs, or he's literally in another planet.
Yeah, but he thinks he's somewhere else, but it's actually Earth, but like a bajillion years later.
But I'm definitely stoked to see this because I don't recall, like he has been he had the titular role for most movies, but when it comes to sci-fi, I can't think of any other one besides, Star Wars wasn't really his titular role. But
I mean, he's the main bad guy.
He's the main bad guy. But yeah, I'm pretty stoked for this.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we haven't gotten a lot of, dare I say, cool sci-fi movies,
Like different sci-fi movies, not just your regular, degular.
Yeah, like not just another, Marvel movie or Star Wars or anything like that. Something
I like this.
Affiliated with Disney. Like,
exactly.
Like we haven't gotten that.
Like besides Avatar, and that's not me just hating on it. It's big franchise. Like you're trying. I mean,
technically, that's under Disney now. It's 20th century.
Yeah. Because like I remember this movie's not great, but I didn't see it in theaters, but I remember wanting to see it, and I did see it. Why am I forgetting it? Tom Cruise was in it, and it took place in the far future. No, not Edge of Tomorrow, but that's a great movie actually. It's where
called Live, Die, Repeat, I believe.
No, All You Need Is Kill. That was just a tagline. And that's the title. I remember Emily Blunt did a commercial interview. She said, I hated the movie's perfect except for the title. It should have been the manga title, which is called All You Need Is Kill. And I was like, that would have been perfect. When it comes to titles, it would have just been a dope, different thing. I remember
there being like a big thing with the title when that came out.
It was just because it was called Edge of Tomorrow, Die, Live, Repeat. It was just too long.
Okay. Yeah.
And they just called it Edge of Tomorrow. But then I'm like, that goes to the same that's the same thing you can say with Birds of Prey when you said the emancipation of blah, 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 blah. And I was like, yeah, why didn't you just call it Birds of Prey? And they just really wanted to tie it to Harley Quinn. But I'm forgetting this movie and I really want to remember. But yeah, I'm pretty stoked to see something different that's not.
Yeah. I mean, because honestly speaking, besides Dune, I can't remember another sci-fi epic or movie or anything like that. I mean, every couple years we get an entry in the Terminator franchise or
Oblivion. That's what it's called. Love the aesthetics. Mm-hmm. It's not great, but again.
So yeah, I'm excited to see something join the sci-fi ranks because I'm always for new independent project. Well, not independent, but projects outside of this huge zeitgeist that we've
Yeah,
already seen and established.
100%.
So, talking about zeitgeist that we've seen established and had a
Let's
lot
get
of
back into it. Let's jump right back in.
literally
We
just
don't
flip
care.
flopping stances left and right. There's a rumor going around, and I think it's kind of true, and I'd be stoked. So,
You only think it's true because you have your Justin's verse. So
Jack Humans and Moby Schmishmeyer's characters, the titular Wolverine and Spider-Man, perspect- respectively, are rumored to be in Avengers Secret Wars, the upcoming Avengers sequel in slated for 2026. I can't imagine that they wouldn't be. So,
and if they're not the actors, I wouldn't be surprised if the characters themselves show up
yes.
by different actors. Like that I would find more believable than the actors returning. Not saying I wouldn't want them, but then it's also because you got to think about real world consequences is time and not budget, but mostly time because they could be tied up in other projects.
Well, as we've seen, Disney and Marvel will throw ridiculous piles upon piles of money to get people to come back to things that
they'll throw money at them and be like, forget that movie you're working on.
Yes.
We'll digitally put you in it. And
literally,
don't worry about it.
They've told actors, they're actually in the middle of doing this right now with Johnny Depp. They've told actors, hey, forget how we treated you previously. Forget all those statements that you made saying how you'd never come back and work with us. Here's $1 bajillion. We're going to change your mind, kid. Like, they've literally done that. They're in the middle of doing that with Johnny Depp right now, to the point where he has signed he went on statement during the whole trial with Amber Heard and, the defamation lawsuit that he ended up winning. During that, Disney was one of the biggest and earliest, I guess, sponsor. I don't want to say sponsors, but partners of Johnny Depp that dropped him.
Sponsor sounds right.
So they dropped him almost immediately, and then Johnny Depp was really upset about it. He has a lot of love for Jack Sparrow and the Pirates franchise. He said that he would never come back and do it from the way that Disney treated him. Guess what? Not only is he back in the titular role, but he's also writing it. So never underestimate the power of Disney and the House of Mouse,
The power of their monies.
Yeah. So in Secret Wars, for those that don't know, comically speaking, in the pages of yore, it was, they've already started setting it up. We've seen the Skrull come in. The Skrull is an alien race that can shapeshift and become different people. Secret Wars kind of breaks that open and shows that, like, the Skrulls have been on Earth for a while.
Right? With the upcoming show. Well, we've seen them before, and yeah. So with Captain Marvel, we see we've characters
seen Skrulls themselves, and we've also seen them in after credit scenes. So the MCU watchers and fans are privy to who these things are. So they can shapeshift. They can actually take on abilities of who they're shapeshifting as. That's a comic book thing. It hasn't really been established in MCU yet that they can have the abilities as well. But that was
they can get their thoughts. That's what it is.
Yeah, that was the big thing in comic books. They took on the abilities of different superheroes, and they were, I believe, the other ones were like trapped. I think that's what it was. Like, they literally locked up the main superheroes, and then all-out wars break out between different factions. No one trusts anyone. Then you have some superheroes that come to prominence, like Spider-Woman. Spider-Woman is actually a Skrull that continues to be a superhero after the fact. So there's a lot that goes on with this. This is another House of M instance where it is a huge crossover event between all the heroes. The big characters are all on display, from the mutants and the Avengers, Spider-Man. Like, they're all front and center for this. So who knows what's possible, but to
Mm.
me, with Multiverse of Madness, the Doctor Strange sequel that we got, they just scratched the surface of what's possible. So, know
And
what.
I'm excited to see Ant-Man's too, those possibilities.
Yeah, so we got Quantum Manium coming up, and I hope he does a crazy heel turn and becomes Giant Man and becomes a villain and all that. It makes so much sense. But
Scott Lang.
yeah, that's what
Mm.
I want. Um, and it looks like
But
it's
it's Paul
almost.
Rudd.
I know, but that would be the best part. It's Paul Rudd.
That's the thing. Speaking of that happening, people wouldn't be prepared for that because such a subversion people are going to hate. But then that's going to be, those are the type of movies or things that keep people talking about it.
Yeah.
Again, not to delve into it, but the DCEU, people still talk about it. It's very divisive. So for Paul Rudd, such a lovable actor, to become a villain, is that the end of Ant-Man, you know?
And because the only reason I say that also is because I can see Wasp dying, him becoming a bad guy because of that, and then his daughter, who is now going to
Taking up
be the
that
next
mantle.
Ant Man woman. I could see her taking up the mantle of Ant Woman or Beetle Girl, whatever we're gonna call her. So,
I'm Ant person.
so I digress. So bringing it kind of back here. So Secret Wars, there's a lot of availability in terms of characters. So to see, and I'm still hoping one day we get it, Chris Evans return as Human Torch.
Oh man. Oh yes.
Yes. To see, maybe some of
Just had a beautiful beard. I'm sorry. He just had a dope beard.
to see some of the X-Men crew come back in, to see, Toby Spider-Man, or even if they want to just do Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, uh all these things are totally possible. Fantastic Four people, like, it's possible to see. They can also do the crazy thing of retconning stuff and being like, oh well, these characters were actually Skrulls the entire time, and that would be pretty divisive. That's something that I kind of hope that they don't do, because where the comics would kind of cross that line and be like, oh well, you know, Peter Parker was actually a clone of this guy Ben Riley, and it's like everyone
Mm.
hated that, and they were like, oh nope, we got it wrong. Ben Riley was the clone, and he thought he was the real Peter Parker. And with Secret Wars, it was stuff where they retcon being like, oh, this person was a Skrull for 20 years, and it's like, what would that feel like to us if we saw Andrew Garfield or Tobey Maguire, especially after some like that earned redemption that they got with the latest Spider-Man movie? What if we saw, oh, they were actually a Skrull this whole time? That's the kind of thing I don't want to happen. Um, and we're gonna see some cameos. We have to, from older
Yeah.
actors and older comic book people. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on it, Jay?
No, I relatively similar lane, but I would have to go a different route and say like I'm keep everything the same where in their respective roles. But from my understanding of Secret Wars, it does its own retconning, kind of like yeah, like let's say Wolverine. Well, he dies obviously in Logan, but if he somehow ends up in this Secret Wars, let's call it the event. Shows up in this event, dies, but then it retcons, MCU retcons, and brings back Wolverine by a different actor. This kind of fixes and kind of does away with what Fox did before, similar to Spider-Man, where the Spider-Man that is supposed to be the Spider-Man would be Tom Holland's Spider-Man. Not taken away from, it's just those things were actual real events. Well, you can't see my hand doing this off camera.
So you see that hand if you watched live on twitch.tv/The Average Jays.
Yes, you can. Or on YouTube, because they're going out now. I would like to see it just be retcon, like all the things that happened, even the horrible, horrible movie of the FF, not the classic Fantastic Four, but the new FF movie. That's what it was, I guess, titled as. Or they could just ignore it. They can ignore that one, the 2015 version.
Yeah, I hope they ignore
it. Yeah, they could just ignore it and just focus on the original Fantastic Four. They don't even have to retcon them, or they could come back and have like major characters, like again, like you said, Chris Evans just showing up. It doesn't have to be like Jessica Alba and them because they're not acting. I would love the Thing to come back because I liked him. Like
I would love to see Michael Chiklis come back as the Thing. That'd be dope.
Yeah, like he was cool. Like I liked him. He had gusto. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like I think to have him come back with Human Torch because they always have beef. Like that would be a nice that would be a nice little duo. But I'd rather them just show up and then they get erased. And then because with the new Fantastic Four coming, we're gonna have a new family.
Yeah.
So it doesn't take away with, even though the movies did, some movies may have done poorly or didn't get critically acclaim or whatever from Rotten Tomatoes, it still does its job and it's a reset point. And it doesn't take away from the phase 1, 2, and 3 of the MCU. It's just like there is a turning point. And it's all due to Loki. For those who don't know, because of what happened in the Loki show, things just go awry. And this is why these are happening. We saw it in,
we're getting season 2 of Loki, and the Deadpool 3 is also going to be heavily like time travel based and like universe.
That's gonna mess
apparently.
That's gonna mess things up. It's gonna mess things up. And the last thing again, I think it was Feige that said that Loki is event changing, and that was the first event, and it's setting up for what's to come. So I'm stoked to see it. I hope they don't do anything crazy. It just needs to retcon in a nice way, but just give nods to what's brought in the past. Even Blade, like just going back there, just give me a nice old man Blade with Wesley Snipes.
Give me blind Wesley Snipes as Blade. I would be so in for it.
Yeah.
One-armed, blind Wesley Snipes. You know what? One arm is actually just a sword. That's what I want. I want one hand
it's
and
just
it's just a sword.
It's a big long daggers.
But no, I totally agree. I think that would be a really good way to cover it. And I mean, I think that's going to be the nexus point where everything's going to be like, it's that pruning of the different, what did they call it in Loki? The branch timelines.
Yeah.
It's going to all get pruned, and then we're all going to be on one specific timeline from here on.
Well, we're going to be there's going to still be multiple universes, but it's a way to go back to the main universe that us as the viewers are watching. Unfortunately, Spider-Man will still be in that timeline, but Spider-Man will still be owned by Sony
for now.
So,
but it's okay. We'll get to see it in 2026. But
some form.
It's way closer than 2026.
What's way closer than 2026?
2023, because we're already in it. So, talking about 2023, we have some video games. We're now segueing over to the video games. We have some video games that are coming our way, and we just kind of wanted to call out a handful because we have a lot that are releasing in 2023. But I just want to call out a couple of here and there that I think are pretty snazzy and might be coming a lot sooner than you think.
Yeah, there's a lot.
So, first one up, Dead Space. It's the remake. I feel like everything's getting remade all the time, but I guess I also forgot that
this is like what I've been told. This Dead Space is a true remake.
Yeah, this is a true remake from the ground up. It's not a what is it?
Remaster.
It's not a remaster. The entire story, characters, game, everything is a ground up remake from the original 2008 horror classic. 2008. I didn't even realize it'd been that long, but it's 14 years.
Still won't play that game. I still won't play it.
It's scary.
How old I am.
It's scary. So that's coming January 27th, before the month's over. For all you weirdos that love to get scared, it's coming.
For the weirdos. From what my cousin told me, because he's a big fan of the franchise. So from what I remember, OG Dead Space was you go through a hallway room, whatever, and let's say you die, the monsters don't come back in the same spot, right?
Mm-mm.
But in this one, because of the algorithm has gotten more smarter, hashtag Skynet. Let's say you do that and you backtrack, monsters can come back, or sounds will start happening. Like it will scare you enough. Like even though you've cleared a room, the room is never clear. So
I
I was
can't
like,
deal with
wow.
that. I'd
That,
be having
that
heart
I'm like,
attacks.
once I clear a room, my heart rate goes down. But you're telling me that my heart rate will stay at that high level that it's in after clearing a room. No,
No, thank you.
I'm never playing this game. You
Nope.
thought I was gonna be like, oh, let me dabble in it, Because no, you just said you're never playing this game.
It
That's what
looks
you told me.
it looks cool, but yeah, that's
It
another
was
one I'm never playing that.
yeah.
But right after that, February 10th,
Next,
we are getting Hogwarts Legacy, a game that is too big to fail. This thing has been raising the bar on expectations ever since it was announced.
announced.
So I can't wait to get this game. It comes out February 10th for all the true gamers. So PS5, Xbox Series XS,
I like how you're jumping on that train now.
and
The
PC,
true
and then all the dweebs on PS4,
PS4.
Xbox
That was you,
One.
not just like a month and a change ago.
They get it on April 4th, and then the Switch gets it on July 25th. So, for all the true believer gamers, February 10th is the day for you. Get sorted into your houses and come see me on the Quidditch pit. Quidditch pitch? Quidditch field?
I believe so.
Whatever. I'm gonna
The Quidditch courtroom.
whatever. I'm gonna
The court.
I'm gonna be
I don't know. I was
cool.
just
Then we have another game I'm not really following, but I know it's been getting a lot of press. Atomic Heart coming up
hmm.
February 21st. Choo, 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 choo. Then we got Octopath Traveler 2, follow up to the titular 2018 Octopath Traveler, which is like, I love this art style that they have. It's a pseudo two and a
Yeah, I
half
have the first
D,
game. Yeah,
two and a
has
half
that old
D. It's a
school.
JRPG, Square Enix, so Final Fantasy
Can't do no
theme.
wrong.
Cannot go wrong. The sprite artwork is phenomenal, and then the environments themselves look super duper pretty. So February 24th, it's coming to PS5 for Switch and PC.
Just backtracking. January 13, One Piece Odyssey. Just had to throw in a quick shout out because I think this is the second game that Oda's had his hand in. It's kind of
Yes.
like the movies where the movies aren't canon, except Strongworld, in my opinion. Um, One Piece Odyssey has some probably like canon material in it, just like his movies. So, and I believe he wrote this one as well. Where basically the trope is the characters show up on an island and they get sucked into a memory hazy thing, and they revisit all the past events. So you get to play through the game in its entire series.
Yeah. I actually thought it already came out, but yeah, it does look, and it looks
There was
pretty
an
cool.
old game that came out a while back called World Seeker.
Yeah.
So I don't know if yeah, that one wasn't good from what I've heard.
Yeah. Next one here, March 3rd, Wolong Fallen Dynasty. It's a Souls-like game for those who hate their lives, and it's with the studio. It's Team Ninja, which is the studio that did Neo and Ninja Gaiden. So some of the hardest games ever created. You got another one coming at you. It takes place in feudal Japan. Nope, I'm sorry. China's Three
I
Kingdoms
know.
period. There it
Yeah.
is. China's Three Kingdoms period, and it looks pretty cool. Go check it out. There's some clips and post beta previews and stuff like that. IGN has it all, and I believe Polygon had some stuff, and GameSpot if you guys want to check it out. Bayonetta Origins is coming up. It is solely for the Switch, as Bayonetta has become a, well, not Bayonetta, but Platinum Games has become a like first party studio for Nintendo. So
Yeah.
it is the follow up to Bayonetta 3, and it's kind of like as a as it says in the name, it's an origin story. It's a prequel. Um, it's a storybook inspired prequel. And March 17th for the Switch. Right next to that, right next to it, literally pressed up against it in a
On the
sweaty
wall.
hallway.
Ooh, that's not good. It sounds so weird on that. I thought you were gonna breathe like Vader into it.
Get out of here, John Williams. You know, we don't have enough to pay for you. So anyway, Star Wars Jedi.
Yeah, we would have to pay for it if we use it. Like, yeah, give me that fee that you're making, that -0 that we're making on this podcast.
Star Wars Jedi Survivor, the sequel to Respawn Entertainment's Jedi Fallen Order, set 5 years later in the game universe, is coming to PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC March 17th. I don't technically agree, but everywhere else besides me says that it's a Souls-like game. I mean, maybe I just subverted that in my own headcanon because I love the game and I love, Star Wars and stuff. So I played through it without, getting upset. But it looks dope.
It's watered down though, so it's enough where you don't hate yourself. So you can still play on the hardest, because I played on the second, before you couldn't unlock it. I played the second to last hardest difficulty, because there's, I think Grandmaster is the last one, so I think I was Jedi Warrior, whatever the difficulty was. It is annoying because you keep dying, but it's like, what I love about it is that you can come back, and like even in God of War, when I'm playing it, I'm like, I keep fighting this boss, and I'm like, and you just learn from your fighting style. And the one thing I like about it compared to like Elden Ring and those type of games is like, I can just continue something else or get better at it, and I'm never upset. You can get like normal upset, never blood curdling scream upset.
Yeah, there's like
again, it's like it's Star Wars. Like, you've always wished you had a lightsaber. Like I would have wished to have like a cool big sword and fight monsters, but then I'll just play Monster Hunter, But
I feel like
it's Star Wars.
I feel like where, Souls game, it is very much, it's your mistake, right? Because, all the monsters and stuff, they have predetermined like patterns and you're supposed to memorize it and go through it. Something like Jedi,
you're just blocking lasers.
Yeah, you're just blocking stuff, and there's a very short curve. Like literally, once you get the hang of it, that you're golden.
You're nice at it. At the end, I was nice at it.
The beginning 3 or 4 hours, the learning curve, it does get a little frustrating, but like I said, once you get the hang of it, that's it. You're good.
Yeah, and it is not like Force Unleashed where you're button mashing like the X button or the A button. This is utilizing the bumper buttons like in Soul Eater. That's Dark an anime. Souls. I mean, Dark Souls or Elden Ring or Sekiro or Bloodborne. What are you gonna say?
Also, speaking of Force Unleashed, really quickly, that guy in the trailer that's in the little vat tube thing, I still think is Starkiller. But we'll get our answers come March 17th. So getting back to the quick list, Resident Evil 4 Remake, March 24th. Finally coming off of the Nintendo GameCube, it will be available on PS5, for Xbox Series X and S, and PC.
You're going to make fun of the PS4 users because Hogwarts Legacy comes out months, 2 months later?
Yep. The PS4 plebs, the plebeians that are stuck on the last gen.
I can feel your PS4 looking at you from where you're sitting.
It's right there. I haven't retired it yet. I haven't put it away, so it's there.
Is it still plugged in?
I think so.
I unplugged mine so it doesn't know that I'm having fun with the other machine.
It doesn't know you're cheating on it. Yeah.
It's like, why haven't I been turned on yet? It's like R2D2 when in Force Awakens. It just wakes up.
Just wakes up on its own. What's been going on? So next on the list here, March 28th, Crime Boss, Rocket City. Crazy cast of people. I didn't even think it was coming this early, but March 28th It's only coming to PC for that release date, but it will come to consoles later. After that, we have, oh, you already mentioned One Piece Odyssey on January 13th. Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe, February 24th. I'm a big Kirby fan. Killer Clowns from Outer Space, the game, early 2023. There's no established date yet, but we're assuming it's going to be first quarter. It looks just like the game. If you're into that cult classic, I mean, just like the movie, if you're into the cult classic, you're going to love the game. Dead Island 2, finally, after like 50 years,
Right.
it's finally
Right.
going to come out April 28th on PS5, 4, Xbox Series S and X, Xbox One, and PC. April 28th. The big granddaddy of them all, Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. The follow-up to what IGN crowned the best game of all time will be hitting the Switch May 12th.
Wow.
There's so many games coming this year, guys. So please budget correctly. If you
Yes.
can only afford one game, do your process of elimination and figure it out. But you
Yeah.
can easily do a couple of games a month and have a great time with what is being offered this year. 2023
be
is
a-
a banner year for video
Yeah.
games.
Don't be us and stack games
Yeah,
because you have a dumb job that keeps you from your games.
Yeah. Quit your
Just want to
jobs.
shout out.
Quit your jobs and play video games.
I think that's the most logical thing is
Yeah.
quitting our jobs. Just want to shout out Final Fantasy 16 as well. That's just anticipated for me, at least.
We're getting
Outside the big ones, and outside the big ones, like the Star Wars,
Don't worry, we're getting there.
we're gonna get it.
So
We're gonna get it.
next one
I
up,
just
May
gotta-
26th, Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League. Best thing to come out of that is Kevin Conroy's final portrayal of the Batman. This is a game that I will definitely be getting. May 26th, PS5, Xbox Series, X and S, and PC. Then we got June 2nd is Street Fighter 6. Definitely going to get it. PS5, PS4, Xbox Series, X and S, and PC. Diablo 4 comes out June 6th for all you PC dweebs. But it also comes out on gaming platforms, PS5, 4,
This is how
Xbox.
we get canceled.
Yeah, probably.
PC people are just gonna be like, oh, bunch of console losers
Only
because they're
use
like
your
the high
PC.
end.
Only use your PC to watch us on Twitch. No gaming. None. Then we got, like you mentioned before, Final Fantasy 16 coming June 22nd. Only to PS5. Remember that. PS4 dweebs. Forza Motorsports coming 2023. Minecraft Legends spring 2023. No secured date yet. We have Hollow Knight Silksong, the follow-up to the titular Metroidvania game coming in the first half of 2023. Then Starfield, which was I feel like this game has been talked about for like a decade. First half of 2023. Alan Wake 2 just has a window of 2023. We have no other information, but the follow-up to Alan Wake from Xbox 360 era is finally coming this year. And for all the people that care about Armored Core 6 is finally coming around. They've been working, so it's FromSoft that's creating this. They've been working since 2016, and it'll be the series' first new entry since 2012. Armored Core 6 coming this year, 2023.
It's not that long ago.
Another one that's coming this year, Assassin's Creed Mirage. It is going to be set in a 9th century Baghdad, 20 years before the events of Assassin's Creed Valhalla. It's an Assassin's Creed game. Get ready. And then I cannot wait. I think this is the one that we're going to cap it off with. Oh, no, we got one more here. So Spider-Man 2 PS5 exclusive fall
That's the
2023.
fall.
I'm going to play the absolute crap out of that game because
Straight up.
I I even played through Miles Morales like
A while ago.
four
Not that long
times.
ago.
I
Yeah.
played through it 4 times to get 2 platinums. So I'm okay with it. Pikmin 4. Finally.
Yeah, when they announced that, yeah.
Finally. Pikmin 4 will be the first home console Pikmin game in a decade, following 2013's Pikmin 3. Hey, we did get the Pikmin 3 Deluxe for the Switch, but that was just it wasn't a remake. What was the word? Remaster.
Remastered. They needed monies.
Yes.
Just to release the trailer. They needed money.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan. But yes, and you know what? I'll throw all the dorks a bone here. We got Warhammer 40K Space Marine 2 also released.
Oh, they got Henry Cavill now, so it's okay. He's gonna be more popular.
It is gonna be.
They won't be dorks anymore.
They have Superman now. So that is some of the biggest stuff that's coming for this year. Any news site that you go to, they're gonna have this, a huge comprehensive list. Check it out. Make sure you're budgeting correctly. If you're gonna quit your job so you can play all these games, make sure you save up enough so you can buy them as they drop.
Yeah, or marry rich. Just do that.
You can do that.
Yeah.
You can marry our friend Rich. You can
marry our friend Rich.
Yeah, I think he's a pretty big gamer. He has some money. You can marry Rich if you would like. We'll get you in contact with him if you want to share.
A guy named Rich who's rich.
So that's a joke, everybody. We have a friend named Rich, also Richie.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But if you really want to marry him, just let us know. I'm sure we can figure something out.
Yeah, arranged marriage, you guys.
Yeah. So I know. So we mentioned Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom.
Yes.
Coming out this year. But another thing that I wanted to talk about, this has been kind of going around for a little bit. Nintendo was, I don't want to say in hot water, but it was kind of in the spotlight for this. So a very prominent YouTube channel, one that I've been following for probably the better part of a decade now, Did You Know Gaming. So Did You Know Gaming, it's a whole YouTube channel dedicated to trivia about games. They also have movies and stuff like that, but Did You Know Gaming is the big one. It talks about any games, like trivia about games that released, trivia about games that didn't release, lore to your favorite franchise like Zelda, Pokemon, Metal Gear. They do in-depth interviews. They translate articles from the 90s to uncover new facts that no one knows about. They even cover certain like fan rebuilds or fan minings from like, for example, like the Nintendo Giga Leak that happened back in 2020. They cover everything gaming related, and if you want to know a fact about your favorite game, it's on there. So comprehensive videos, great interviews. So they unearthed some new information about a canceled Zelda game, and they actually got it. Nintendo tried to get it taken down. So this happened in early December. It made the rounds all over the place. It was a Zelda like tactics game that was proposed. It was called Heroes of Hyrule. But the reason why I wanted to bring this up, not only to shout out Did You Know Gaming, but to kind of show that sometimes people win. So these people, what they do is it's straight up journalism. All they do is they try and uncover stuff, and it's uncover the truth, and it's about things that have already happened. It's nothing that's happening now. It's typically trivia for past things. So for Nintendo to put up a pretty big stink and get their video taken down about a pitch that was from like 20 years ago, I believe. It was a 2004. So it's about to be 20 years. There was a pitch in 2004, and Nintendo made a pretty big stink about it. But they finally got it overturned. December 28th, they finally got the video back up, and YouTube confirmed that the original copyright takedown notice was from Nintendo, but it was overturned in their favor, and Did You Know Gaming did win. So the big deal with this also is that it received over 20,000 views in its first day. And for big content creators, that's not a huge deal. But and they do receive, like, these guys are, don't get me wrong, they're not like this little indie YouTuber in a basement somewhere that only gets 5 views. They do a lot. They get a lot of views. They partner with a lot of things. They have their own websites. They do a lot. 20,000 views in its first day back. Also, that's the thing. It was the first day back after it got pulled. It kind of shows the power that content creators have. And whereas back in the day, if Nintendo wanted something down, or if any big media giant wanted it taken down, they could. They would take it down, and that's it. There's no way to fight back. So I kind of wanted to highlight this story. Just, it's a little different from what we typically cover. If you want to look at the full article, Kotaku broke it down about the entire thing from conception to.
It's called "Here's a Cancelled Zelda Tactics Game You Probably Don't Know About."
Yeah. So it's a mini. The video is a mini documentary. I actually watched it when it first went live, and I didn't even know that I got taken down. Because the funny thing is, they've talked about the game before, but I guess because they've uncovered all this new info and I believe on it they actually interviewed some past developers and stuff. They had some real credible evidence here. And Nintendo being Nintendo, they don't want to let their stuff out unless.
Yeah, because I was gonna ask, because you're with that hacking incident or leak a while back. You would think I think the big stink was because we don't like people getting into our stuff.
Yeah.
But then if it wasn't for that, would they have done the same thing? Would they have been a little
I don't know. Because Nintendo is even before the Giga leak.
They've been hardcore about stuff like that.
They're known to kind of hit the hammer down when it comes to YouTube videos and stuff, and people leaking information prior to when they want it out. But this time around, I felt like I never want to bash anyone, but I feel like it was good to kind of highlight where these companies that we adore, where they go wrong. Right? Because
not all companies are perfect. We know, we can say we love Disney, but we know they have had their dark side, and Nintendo has their dark side too. They're not free from all this.
So let this be a lesson for all viewers and listeners out there. Journalistic integrity exists. If you are out there,
we will find you.
If you are out there truly to uncover a story and inform the public without any type of defamation or trying to tear down any type of company or something like that.
Yeah.
If you're out there just to give information to your audience, you win. You do win sometimes. It's a real thing. Don't think that, just because you're this small thing or mid-sized thing that you can't possibly win against some other company or some media giant, like I was saying before. You can. And this kind of stuff is what gets me going. I love it. I've been a fan, like I said, probably close to 10 years for Did You Know Gaming, maybe even more. Back when I think JonTron had a hand in setting it up. But they're great. Awesome content. Go check them out on the YouTubes. But yeah, man, give them some love after all that. Go check out that video also. Very, very cool. If you're into trivia, if you're into Zelda, there's something in there for everyone. So now that we're done covering all the video games and video game news that happened this week, it is finally time for the weekly wrap.
The weekly wrap.
So Jay,
what have I done?
What have you been watching, reading, or playing?
So me and the missus finally watched and finished Atlanta, the final season.
Oh, cool.
great season. Not really a spoiler, and you don't have to watch it entirely to understand this one episode. I'm sure you've heard of it, but there was like a mini fake documentary on the creation of a Goofy movie. So I think you should watch it. It was funny, funny in certain ways, but like it is a little. There's a little creepiness to it. So because and for me, when it comes to documentaries, and you tell me like documentaries creep me out when it's about scary things. This wasn't scary. It was just like the way they tell it. It's like then he went crazy and blah blah blah, and how it was like the first black CEO of Disney, and I thought it was really cool. That episode did stick out to me. Andrew has been telling me about it for mad long, and I was just like, all right, I finally watched it. It was really good.
Yeah, my cousin Rob told me once it dropped, he told me to go watch. I've never seen an episode.
Yeah, like you don't. Oh, you haven't? I thought you have. Well, I would say literally just go watch that episode. It has nothing to do with the entire series. Mm-hmm. But if you do, I won't tell you the ending because
does it end where like since it got canceled, it's a problem, or does it end on a good note?
I didn't even think it was canceled. I thought it was just ending because I was on Donald Glover's decision. It ends where it's like it has a message, and if I say any more, it spoils the ending. It's even in the title as well. If I say these words, it's in the title of it. And for those listening, I won't say it. Don't worry, because it's that good. Like me and Gabby finished it, and I was just like, wow, like. For it to end this way, it's talking about subversion, and me and my friend were workshopping ideas for our possible future project, and we were talking about subversion, doing it in a good way. And I thought Donald Glover and his team did a good job on it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that was the one thing that I recall watching as of late.
Cool.
Watching. I don't know if I said it before in any of the past episodes, but I've been finished the first season of Smallville. Mm-hmm. So I'm in like season 2.
Past me.
And then they did announce that the only reason I watch it so we can talk about it, but you're like slacking now. But I did hold back a little bit. I'm still in season 2, but I held back because I got past Talkville as well. So Talkville a while ago, maybe a couple of days ago, posted that they're doing season 2. I was like, yes. There are certain episodes I want to hear them speak about. I finished one of the episodes called Leech, which I'm not going to say what it is. I don't know if you're up to there. They got their father. His name is John Schneider. He's Jonathan Kent, which is funny. Jonathan Glover is Lex Luthor's dad, Lionel Luthor. He plays Lionel Luthor. He was on the show a while back. Speaking of the show, I mean Talkville, not Smallville. But they got Jonathan Kent on there, and they were just gushing. It was like they were catching up, but like they know each other. And listening to them is dope because they're just like, I hear Clark Kent, Lex Luthor, Jonathan Kent, and it's like their voice. You can hear this. They're older. Tom Welling says he's just like, you know what's crazy? I'm the same age as you when you were on the show. He's like, I think a little bit older or something like that.
Wow.
And I was like, he's like, how old are you? He's like, yeah, I'm 45. And then Michael Rosenbaum is like, yeah, I'm 50. And I was like, wow, that's crazy.
Especially when you think about it, and Jonathan Kent, that actor, is actually one of the original Dukes of Hazzard.
He mentions that in the thing. He talks about how he was a little bit about the same age as Tom Welling when he started in his respective role of
there's an episode, I don't remember which season, it might actually be in season 2. It's definitely not season 1. There's an episode where Jonathan Kent's like high school friend comes by, and it's the other guy from Dukes of Hazzard.
Oh, so that hasn't happened where I'm up to yet. So it's probably
he ends up being like a governor or a council person, something like that.
But it's that same actor, you're saying.
It's the same actor, and they even do a nod to Dukes of Hazzard.
Nice.
Like, when they go into his car, and one of the doors is busted. So he slides
Mm,
in through the window like they did in Dukes of Hazzard.
that's cool.
And Jonathan Kent just looks at him and he's like, "Oh, well, the door's always been busted. That's how I come in." And he was like, "Oh, okay." And they go
Mm.
off, and it's a cute little homage.
Yeah,
It was just fun.
I would have, if you didn't tell me that and I watched it, I would have probably looked it up to see why that scene happened.
Yeah,
Or they would have brought it up on Talkville because
definitely.
they did want Jonathan Schneider to come back for certain episodes.
Yeah.
Reading. What am I reading? Reading. Actually, I did want to shout out. I haven't read it yet, but I supported this Kickstarter a while back, but it just came in the mail today, and I totally forgot about it. It's called the Saturn Effect Alpha. So for those watching on YouTube, pretty dope cover. It's called Red Sea Comics, the publishing company. It just the art looks really good. I can't wait to get through it. So probably next episode I'll tell you about this.
Nice.
So that's what I'm gonna start reading, and I'll tell you what it's about. So yeah, I haven't really read anything, but this will be like the next thing I read.
That's the next one up.
Yeah. So and yeah, playing obviously God of War and Tunic.
Nice.
That's it.
I forgot to get Tunic. I'm sure it's not on sale anymore, but
It probably is not. But honestly, it'd be worth it.
no, I'm gonna get it. I'm going.
If you
that's a
decide to
game.
get it at full price, it's worth it. I was
It's
just lucky
only, I
enough
think
to
it's
get
40,
it.
right? It's
I
not
believe
60.
so. And then I bought Hollow Knights as well, which I'm an idiot because I bought Hollow. I had Hollow Knights free on my PS4, which PS5 now, but I bought it on sale on the Switch. But the thing is, I think I would find myself playing it on the Switch anyway.
That's a Switch game for sure.
Yeah. And I think I got it free on PS5. That's what it was. So I'm like, hey, take my money. I got you twice.
Yeah.
So.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
And then, so for me, watching, making my way through Community again, I'm
gonna say make my way down south.
Not that. Making my way through Community again. I'm on season 2, but I actually exposed the missus to Parks and Rec.
Finally.
Yeah, she's not into it. So
wait, but she, of course, it's season 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But still, it's one of those things where we're gonna keep watching it. It's gonna be slow.
Yeah, like literally season 2 is the money maker.
And that's the money maker, just like with The Office, but she's another one. She doesn't like The Office, so
I would press more Parks and Rec than The Office. Then if she likes that type of mockumentary, she can revisit. If she gets into it, she can revisit.
So here's the thing: I don't think she likes the format.
I don't. Did she ever see Modern Family? Because that's won awards.
I don't know.
And
maybe.
Yeah, I would.
Modern Family,
ask her if she.
It would be hard pressed if she didn't like that, because the difference being maybe it's not the format, but Parks and Rec and The Office have that like
it's work related.
Not only that, it's almost like a dry sense of humor, where it's like when things happen, you laugh about it, but it's not like there aren't jokes that happen for the
thing about I say the Modern Family has a lot of misunderstandings, and their jokes are double entendres as well. Where I don't think Parks and Rec does. I think Parks and Rec is both The Office and Modern Family. That's why I think Parks and Rec is so perfect. All 3 shows, there are probably many more out there, but those 3 shows are great in their respective realm. But Parks and Rec is a nice marriage between the 2.
Yes, I agree.
If I had to choose out of the 3, it'd be Parks and Rec.
You're wrong, but okay, that's fine.
Not wrong.
It's
an opinion.
So I picked Parks and Rec for that exact thing, because she was like, "Oh, you pick what to watch," and I was like, "Oh, I pick what to watch. Fine." So I picked Parks and Rec, and I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna kill her with The Office because I know it's just not for her.
Yeah.
And then I didn't even think of Modern Family, but I'm sure she would love it. But
I feel like she would.
But something like Parks and Rec, I thought it was a great, like, it's not as like dry and human, I guess, as The Office, because The Office is really just like you're looking in at the lives of
You're
people.
looking at
That's
it's
all
a
it is.
yeah, yeah.
So it's not that kind of humor. It's that mixed with a little more slapstick stuff. So like in Parks and Rec, there was like one or two times where I caught her smirking at stuff. So hopefully, as it goes, it gets better.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm trying to think. I don't think I've watched anything too crazy. Yeah, I don't think I've seen any movies or anything like that. I last time was the one with the movies like I watched Glass Onion and all that. But yeah, this
Still need
past
to
week,
watch that.
great movie. But this past week I haven't really watched anything too memorable. And then reading absolutely nothing. Playing, and I think this is why, playing my life, I guess every waking moment that I have has been consumed by the God of War. Like
That'll happen.
it's beautiful. I have zero complaints. So far, it's a 10 out of 10.
When you
Um,
texted me, I was like, yeah, duh.
it's I can't believe it's flown under the radar for so many people. Like nobody's talking about it, which is weird.
Oh, there he
Um,
goes, the sarcasm. I was like, wait, what's he talking about?
but it's a fantastic game. There's nothing wrong with it. I love um literally every piece of it. The attention to detail, the lore, the character building. It's it's a 10 out of 10. It's got to be. I mean, we are extremely early and I guess technically it came out in December, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
So it might not
November.
be game of the year for 2020. I guess it would be because game of the year happened
Yeah,
before
it
then.
would, yeah.
So it's in contention. It's a contender for this year's. But it's for right now, man. It's high up there. I don't even know how far I'm into it. Like you're probably further than I am, I would assume. But like I made
I
it.
feel like you may pass me at some point because like I tend to slow down because of work and you're home. So you're like, you have access real quick. So
True.
there's a point you might pass me,
So
but I am definitely further
right now, um,
with no spoilers to the
no
fans or me.
spoilers to the fans. What does Ironwood mean to you?
Oh, so I know where you are.
Did you? No, no, no. I'm past that.
You're past it.
I'm past that.
Is it just the word ironwood
No.
or okay? I'm past that.
Okay. So now I have been
Who are you
accompanied,
playing as?
not the original duo.
Oh, so you're probably where I'm at. Maybe a little bit behind me, maybe.
Have you
I like how we're keeping it nice and
have you been accompanied by a
a bird,
female,
a
not a
female
bird,
bird.
after the bird?
I was accompanied by that female bird after. Like I'm done with that. I did
Oh,
all the
okay.
side
So
missions,
I'm there.
and that's the thing. And that's the thing. I stopped to do all the side missions as
I'm
much as I
doing all the
can.
side missions as I go down the
Yeah.
river. I'm
So you
finding.
see what I'm saying? You're gonna pass me at some point because I finished that whole thing, like the
Mhm.
story. I moved on, and now I'm playing as someone else. And I'm not gonna say who that is, but I'm playing as someone else.
Mm.
And that was just in the beginning of that, and I'm in another realm. So
Okay.
if you start, and if at the speed you're playing, you're probably gonna pass me.
Mm.
Again, because you have access, you're right there.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
I have
it's
to come home.
right there.
Yeah,
It's
right
right.
there.
It's literally like if the screen was faced this way, it's like right
Yeah.
off screen. It's like right.
Yeah, you
there.
cannot see it. Like I want to like you see
I
that?
can't do that. This room's a mess. But it's
Yeah.
if I was to do that, you would see it.
Yeah.
But,
But yeah, no, I'm happy that you got into it. And then we can finish it, and then maybe we can do like a spoilers cast on
I would
that.
do
I
that.
don't think we've ever
This game is
never
worth it.
really
I would
done.
100% do
I think
it.
we should do that for certain games though.
Yeah, we
Like,
should. We could. We'll
there are
do
games I'm probably never gonna finish, but we can
an
definitely do it.
in-depth
Or
review. But okay,
we already
Yeah.
know it's getting a 10 out of 10. So
yeah, that rounds
Spoilers.
me out for the week, for the weekly wrap. I haven't really played anything else. I have not touched my Switch in a little while, so that's it for me. So
Yeah. Oh, I wanted to mention that when you talked about rewatch going through like comedy shows, I should start going through comedy shows. But my only comedy show that I go through consistently is How I Met Your Mother. So I'm on season 2.
nice, another great one. So with that, we're gonna go ahead and wrap up today's show. As always, you can watch us live on twitch.tv/theaveragejays. Plus, if you stay after, we interact with whoever's in the chat, and we typically go on for another half hour in J&J After Dark. But
Yes,
if
sir.
you can't get enough of us, and you just need even more daily doses of J, you can follow us at Twitter at The Average Jays or on Instagram, The Average Jays Podcast. So I mentioned this last week with last week's episode. I'm gonna mention it again. We're gonna have some format changes, some segment changes, and quite possibly some fresh new faces coming to the Average Jays podcast as a whole. So with the 2023 year, hopefully within the first month, you're gonna start to see, especially on stream, the stream's gonna start to look different. We're gonna get some upgrades. And on top of that, we will, nothing to officially announce yet, but we will be adding some segments to the show. We're going to have some more content being put out. We're going to start streaming more than once a week. So just stick to those social medias for the updates, and obviously always listen to the show.
And ring the bell. Ring that bell so you know.
That bell. Ring that bell so hard it cracks like the Liberty Bell. Make our bell the new Liberty Bell.
Yes.
The Gibberty Bell.
The Gibberty Bell.
It's the
yes.
Gibberty Bell.
We should just like fly there and just tag it Gibberty Bell and then run away.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that's a federal crime, but we can pull it off.
Yeah, we just do it at night. No one's watching.
Yeah, of course. With that, that's the end of this episode. This is the end of the Average Jays podcast episode for today. I'm Jay, Justin Ruiz.
And I'm Jay, Jeremy Francois.
Thank you guys for watching.
Thank you for listening.
So now that's done. All those fucking losers are gone. Now we're heading into J&J After Dark. You know,
Fuck them guys.
I had a thing that I wanted to do, and I think this happened last week too, and I just didn't write it down.
Yes, did you write it down this time?
No. I fucked up.
You don't know the thing.
I don't remember the thing that I wanted to talk
come back
about.
to you. It's going to come back to you. I'm sure it will come back to you before this is over.
It'll come back to me right when we sign off. So how's life, man? How's everything going on?
Actually, I wanted to tell you this while we were like catching up earlier, but this would be a good time as any. So, have I ever told you, maybe off air, on air, that Hugh Jackman comes to my store, right?
You've told me that he's come before.
Yeah. There was a time that he's come before, and I didn't help him, and he was there.
Yeah.
There was a time I did help him. It wasn't for his phone. It was like his son. He brings like his son's phone or family's phone or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
This time he came again with his wife, which I've helped before. I just didn't know that they were together.
Mm.
So my manager is like, no, someone was like, oh, look, is Hugh Jackman? I was like, yeah. So I went up to Hugh Jackman. I was like, hey, man, remember me? And he was like, yeah, man, how you doing? I just shook his hand, and then I just kept moving. I was like, all right, that's done. That was New Year's Eve, actually. So I just kept it moving because I was like, I'm not going to be that person to be like, hey, oh my God, Wolverine, blah, 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 X-Men. But I gotta keep the mask. I gotta keep the mask on just to hide my true identity. So then there's a problem with like the phone, the wife's phone. And then my colleague was like, yo, can you go help them? And I was like, sure. And I was like, I don't mind helping if it's not a big deal. And it looked like it was going to be a big deal, but I was like, oh, I'm not going to say no. It's Hugh Jackman and his wife. And it's like, it's my favorite X-Men character. So I was like, I'm not going to do that. Papa Logan. So So I go and I'm like, hey man, how you doing? And then he had to go because he was doing something.
Where you're like, no, don't go. I'm sorry.
Right. So I'm so sorry. My manager, who likes musicals, nothing wrong with music, but he likes musicals, and he was telling me why he was there because he was shooting, or he was doing a musical that Sunday, New Year's Day, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So then I'm like, dope, because Hugh Jackman loves his musicals. You know that.
Cha.
Yeah. So then I was sitting there. I was like, obviously, I was like, said to myself, I'm like, obviously, I'm not going to ask him about Deadpool. I'm going to ask him about, like, what's he doing here? What are you doing in the city? Like, what are you shooting? What are you doing? But, whatever. I kept it to myself, and I'm just keeping it nonchalant, helping the woman, whatever. And then he's got to go. He's like, all right, thanks. Nice seeing you, Jay. Thanks for helping. And I was like, he said my name. I was like, oh, he said my name.
I passed out immediately.
I gassed everybody up. I was like, "Oh, I went to say hi to Hugh Jackman. He said my name, and then people thought I was serious. I was like, no, he just said he remembered me, so he could be lying." But I want to share a story, which hopefully I'm gonna put this on TikTok so people can hear this story. So my manager, again, right? He likes musicals. There was a musical that I don't know which one it was, but he went to a musical that Hugh Jackman was in.
Mm-hmm.
And all the fans of Wolverine or X-Men or any nerd was there just to get signings. They didn't go see the musical, which is disrespectful in my opinion. Because I'm like, if I'm gonna go see Wolverine, no, not Wolverine. Sorry, if I want to see one of my favorite actors playing one of my favorite heroes, and I want to like show support for what he likes, I would put in to go see the play or music, whatever that be. And that's how it usually works. Like, what's that movie that like I like Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man. I'm gonna go see Tick Tick Boom. It's like one of those things, but I'm also a movie person, so that's whatever.
Did you see Tick Tick Boom?
Not yet. That was the thing.
What the hell's the matter with you?
Hey, you take forever to watch stuff. So when you finally watch
opening weekend,
when you finally watch Rebels or whatever, you took forever to put that.
I told you about Rebels. Shut up. You didn't even want to watch it.
I'm about to fight you. I'll fly down there just to fight you. You'll be like, come and do it. So anyway, they're just there to like get autographs, like from I was gonna say from Logan, but obviously from Hugh Jackman, Jack Human. I thought that was funny when he said that in the segment. And he does it. He does the sign because he's a great person he's down there.
Die hard for his fans, like
not even just die hard for his fans. He is, but it's like he is such a nice person. So the thing that sold me and that kind of upped the love factor for this beautiful person is what my manager told me. My manager was there, and he's done signing and he's leaving. He's in this limo. He's leaving, and a kid was running up to the car. The car stopped, rolled down his window, and signed the thing. Oh. And I was like, he was telling me, he's like, yo, if someone told me that story, I would have been, nah, that's bullshit. Like, that's not real. But he actually witnessed that. And I was like, wow.
That's like, beautiful.
That is a beautiful thing. Like,
fuck yeah, Hugh Jackman.
Like, shout out to Hugh Jackman. For anyone, definitely just give him a shout out because I want to share that with him if he ever sees this.
Not as cool as Hugh Jackman stopping a limo for a kid to sign something, but I've been dying to show you this. Can you see this?
That's AirPods?
Yeah.
It's nice.
My AirPod case.
Lit. It gives you energy.
It does. And look, it even has the nutrition facts on the back.
That's dope.
I thought it was so cool.
You should collect like a few more. Get a Grogu one and a Pokeball.
I really want. They have It was a hard decision to make, but it was between this one and they have an Arizona green tea.
Oh, why did you do that one?
So I didn't do that solely because of the nutrition facts on the back here. Because
it doesn't have the nutrition facts.
The back of the other one was just plain. So I was like, you know what?
I would have. Okay, I see what you're saying.
I'll grab this one first because I think it's very incredibly detailed. Like it's textured and everything. Like even the I don't know if you could tell, but the the top has like the ribs.
Yeah, it has the
on
ridges.
it.
I can see it. I can see that. Yeah.
Like
Even the see-through bottle, like the blue hue is really cool.
yeah, and it is see through. I don't know if you could tell through it, but like it's
No, I can see
the white.
the white inside the blue.
Yeah,
It's
and
like a nice ice inside there.
so nice. I freaking love it. It was like $13 or $14 on Amazon.
What I like is that it has a chain so you don't lose it.
Yeah, the
'Cause, you know,
little clippy guy, little clippy do.
can't help you there. I was just gonna mention something crazy. Do. So I didn't remind me again, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. Solo, you liked the movie, or a big fan of it, or was
It was alright.
mediocre?
I didn't hate it,
Mm.
but I didn't love it.
Would you fall in the line of would you wanted a sequel? Did you hear about this?
No, I did not.
That Ron Howard said that that Lucasfilm's priority doing a sequel for Solo is not a priority in Lucasfilms. If anything, anyone talking about a sequel to is mostly the fans. So I'm not mad about it. I would have liked them to continue a thread that's in from Solo instead of giving me more a sequel. I would rather have Star Wars stories that were just contained, like Rogue
Okay.
One, Solo. Give me like a Darth Maul story because that would
Yeah.
connect with that. Like my boy, you've met him, Carlos. He thinks the movie is good, and I think the movie is good for what it was. It's just it's a movie that no one asked for. When I read this
I
article,
agree.
that again, Kathleen Kennedy learned her lesson. Is like why she wanted to bring new energy into the franchise, which we all know is that she wanted to do a young woman and I guess, in my opinion, a person of color, but that's a different story. But then she goes and recasts a major player in the Star Wars universe with a different actor, which she knows not to do anymore, which facts, she shouldn't.
Wait, who
For me,
are you
I would-
about?
Harrison Ford, when it was
I guess, but I mean,
not Harrison Ford, but
you can't
whatever.
cast them. You know what I mean? To be a younger.
No,
man,
just in
so-
general. Don't like. Let's say like they're gonna do a Princess Leia movie. You're definitely that shouldn't be touched again.
Well, I
if you're
mean,
gonna do
technically
something-
they recasted her as a child for
Well,
Mandalorian.
duh. I mean, like her grown-up times. Like when let's say they did Rogue One and they're like, let's just like that would have been. I would have been like,
Oh,
no,
that would have
yeah.
been terrible. Yeah, that
Yeah,
would. I
so
would
I
be
like
pissed.
what they did there. With the shows now and the Mandalorian and whatnot. I like that they're doing the CGI with Luke. Personal opinion, I wish they did use Sebastian Stan and CGI some of his likeness into Sebastian because that would have been perfect. He has the face for it, and that would be less CGI. But then again,
He has
maybe
the actual face.
yeah, so I don't know if it's a budget thing or I mean not budget, it's a time thing or whatever, but they can still do it, you know what I mean? Because it's
Mhm.
still Luke. They can still do it. And Sebastian Stan can just be like, hey, I played Luke. But
That would be
again,
cool.
I look if they did do a sequel, again, if they were focusing on some like new blood type thing, then give me Lando, but then again, that would be recasting. You're going again with the recasting.
So
Darth Maul though would be easier because he has a whole,
I
red and black.
still I still fall into the camp of like what you had originally said, where like it should have been a Lando movie that had
That guy
Han Solo
Elric.
in it,
Yeah.
because I think that would have played way better. Lando
It would have
had-
played way better.
Lando,
would've.
although while he was a ensemble character, he didn't have enough exposure and enough background where
Oh, from the original? you
yeah,
mean?
from the original,
I see what you're saying.
where we would give a shit, like if they, made him into something different. And I think Childish Gambino was horribly underutilized
Yeah.
in that
Yeah,
fucking
because
movie.
he
He was perfect.
yeah. People that would be upset about it would be the ones that read the legends, which
Yeah,
is
and it's like we've already
again, that's not
fucking-
Yeah, we've
nixed
already
it.
established like the thing about Legends, which I love, is that you can pull from it, which is
Yes.
freaking amazing.
It's source
It's like
material, which is great.
it's just source material that you can pull from, which Filoni pulls from. It's like there you go, and that just
Dude,
streamlines the whole thing.
I totally forgot to mention this on the weekly wrap, but I started a rewatch of Avatar again last Airbender.
You did. You said it last week.
Did
I believe you did. Yeah, I believe you said it last week. We'd have to go through that. This sounds very familiar.
Maybe. But
yeah.
Man, oh man, I
What
forgot
season?
that Dave Filoni is the guy who created it, and I saw it and I almost shit my pants in the credits, and I was like, "Oh my god, that's right, Dave Filoni!" And I was just like, "Oh," I thought about it. So
Okay, go ahead. Cut everything. Tangent time.
so no, it actually this is it. This is the thing,
Okay.
and it actually bleeds back into what I was talking about with Avatar. So seeing the progression of creators to me is always wild, right?
Oh, 100%.
So
I
see,
agree.
like Dave Filoni, right? He started off his
In regular animation.
in regular animation, and his big project, right? The big one was Avatar, and then now he's George Lucas Jr. You know, and even up until now, right? When he was creating the Mandalorian with Jon Favreau,
Yeah.
the Mandalorian's original armor has the freaking blue arrow in homage to Aang. So seeing shit like that to me always blows my mind. You know, sometimes it takes people 20 years to get to where they quote unquote want to be, but damn, is it cool as shit to see. Like, even
Dude,
we
it's funny
spoke
that you
about it
say.
on the show
Mhm.
with James Gunn, how like he
Yeah.
did fucking garbage and then hit it out the fucking park with Guardians.
Yeah.
You know,
It's funny that you mentioned that because earlier today on Looper, I was watching, and I already knew most of these people, and we know most of these people didn't go to film school. To James Cameron, Steven Spielberg, Tarantino, they didn't go to film school. Their thing is like we picked up a thing, and like
they just picked up an 8mm and just started doing shit.
Yeah, like what I love about that is that for the time that can happen, you can't do that now. Unfortunately, you need to go to school. What I found very humbling in that video I saw from Spielberg is that in 2002 he actually went to school, back to school, just to get a degree. That's humbling as shit. Like, dude, you just dropped major films, and you're like, I'm gonna go back to school.
And that's
I
after he dropped like crazy shit.
Yeah, freaking E.T. The
Jaws,
something of the third kind.
E.T.,
Yeah, like
Jurassic Park, all those had already come out.
Like humbling, and to this day, out of all the filmmakers that are great, like still one of the few that are not having ego spasms, like freaking James Cameron or Scorsese. He may be a douche, but I don't know that, and I'm happy about it. I like to see
not know it.
Exactly. It's kind of like we know there are darker sides to companies and people. I don't want to see the dark side of Steven Spielberg. You know, humbling. Just the fact that he went back to school. If I was a student if you sat next to him and you don't get a job,
I wouldn't have any work done. I would have just been like,
I would have been cheating off his tests. Like I would have been like,
do you guys fucking see what's happening right now? I mean, like, do you not know who this is?
If no one was reacting, he had to have gone and he went to I don't know if it was a prominent film school, but it was in California, so I'm sure people know who he was.
They had to.
But speaking of what you're saying, I love that. Like when I watch a show or if I revisit, like for example, I'll tell you this. How many times you've seen How I Met Your Mother many times, right?
All the way through, probably like 3 times, 4 times.
Okay. You probably will get have recognized this person. So in season 1, when Ted is redoing these parties just to get Robin into the house, you know that episode, right?
Yep.
John Bernthal is in there.
Yeah,
he's Carlos.
And he has long hair.
Exactly. So I remember one time just revisiting. I was like, oh shit, that's John Bernthal. I was like, that's this guy. Stuff like that. I love it because they come a long way.
I
Um,
mean, one of the biggest examples of that is Amy Adams being the shitty throwaway girlfriend in The Office first season, second season, technically, I guess.
even before that, because like she is a throwaway character in The Office, but then if you go back before, like if I didn't know
Smallville.
that she was in Smallville, and I went like if I didn't wasn't told that or seen that before, I would know, oh, she was in Smallville. Same thing. I'd be like, oh shit, this person's here, and I was like,
I
I'm
love
sure I'm gonna go through that when I'm watching the show. I've done that so far. I was like, oh, this
I
person
love seeing shit like that. I mean, Courtney Cox in Seinfeld, she plays one of his girlfriends.
with the fake boobs, was it? And then she says it's real.
No, no, no. She Courtney Cox
No,
just Courtney Cox is the one where he gets the discount at the dry cleaners, and she
that I'm
pretends
thinking
to
of
be
someone. I'm thinking
Marge.
of the girl from the Desperate Housewives. Wrong
Is
girl.
that her?
But yeah,
The one with the
the girl from
boobs?
Yes, Desperate Housewives. They both
Ah,
have black hair. That's why.
yeah.
Well, Courtney Cox, I do remember. I do
Sarah
remember.
Silverman is one of Kramer's girlfriends. Um,
Mm. They've got
there's
a long way. Or 40-Year-Old Virgin when Kevin Hart is in it.
oh
And
yeah,
he's like
he
still
plays
making his
the like
way.
the ghetto customer. Yep, yep.
Yeah, so I love that. But so are you saying this is something we should discuss? Like going back to what you were saying,
No,
trying to
I was
rein it.
just kind of like I always find that stuff very interesting, and I was like, you know what, I just want to bring it up on the show and talk about it a bit because I don't know, it's you think one thing, you think you're doing something, and then 20 years later you look backwards and you see this through line of where you started and where you're at, and it's mind blowing. Like,
I feel that and that's true, and I think about that constantly. Like they even mentioned in that video, Ava DuVernay, she pivoted at 32 to become a filmmaker.
yeah,
Like
I
that,
mean,
and that's
shit. Look at people like this guy, fucking the guy from
tell me.
Django and oh my
Oh, the white dude, Christoph Waltz.
yeah,
Is that who
Christoph
you talking
Waltz. He
about?
didn't start acting till he was in his 40s.
Yeah, he acted. Yeah, he started acting a little bit older,
Morgan
got more
Freeman, same
gigs.
thing. Peter
Morgan Freeman's been old forever, and he's never gonna die. He's just gonna keep a living and keep a dying. Like he's gonna be God. We're gonna go up to him and they're like, oh, he was God this whole time,
you
just
know,
chilling.
yeah, probably. I don't doubt that. You know, same type of deal. They didn't make that career shift until their 40s. Peter Dinklage, I believe, started in his
I,
30s.
I remember seeing him, and again he has a distinct feature. I
What's
remember
his
him in
features?
30 Rock. He has a lot of hair.
He is pretty hairy.
No, but I remember him on 30 Rock with Tina Fey when Tina Fey rubbed his head and then he turns around, you thought I was a child, right? And he's like, no, I thought you were cute. And they go on a date for like the entire, I think it was only an episode or two.
Hmm.
And then they just broke it off.
But yeah, the first thing
But
I saw
yeah.
him in was Elf.
Oh, that's right. That's right. But you watch Elf a lot. So you would pick up on that.
You know, he's
Yeah.
the little person that comes in to save the books, and that was in fucking 2004.
That's definitely older than 30 Rock.
And he's I believe he made the pivot in his 30s, and I love his story because I listened to him on an interview. I don't know if it was a podcast or speech that he was giving or something like that, but he spoke about his story, and he was just like, I was in a shitty office job, and he was like, and I just couldn't do it anymore. So he said, "Fuck it," started sleeping on people's couches, and he was like, if this one doesn't work out, I'll pack it up and I'll go back. Like, I'll go back to doing the office job and everything. He was like, but I gotta give it a shot. And that's when he landed his first role.
And it's true. You always gotta have, and that's the thing about life. You always gotta have some people just swan dive and have no parachute. And maybe Superman comes and catches you. But there's some people that do swan dive and have a parachute. You gotta have that backup plan. Like for me, and I mentioned this before, it's like having the video I saw about this filmmaker, and I think I've sent this to you before, just so it applies because it does apply to everyone. when it comes to creatives, definitely keeping your 9 to 5 because that's where your money's coming from. Going back to you can't just pick up a camera and be like, oh, I'm going to be a filmmaker. I'm going to be in the Oscars one day. Maybe you can. It's going to be a difficult road for you. That's the thing. It's definitely going to be difficult. I don't want to say it's impossible. It's just not as easy as it used to be back in the 80s, 70s, or maybe even 90s.
Because nowadays you figured how much technology is involved.
Exactly, and technology is involved.
Making process. Like even if you didn't go to film school and all that, you would still have to be insanely versed on all the new programs and technologies that are done.
Well, I'm not even talking about that. I just mean the access and the where you can put your content. Like YouTube alone is already like
it's flooded with anyone, with billions of people that could be crazy good directors.
There's basically millions of us.
Yeah.
Our podcasts on YouTube. We have to go through the rough and find our own little home. Yep. You know, we have to find this real estate in this plane of technology. But the thing is, when it comes to stuff, you just got to keep pushing it. One thing that I saw, and I've been thinking about it, but then finally someone said it. So again, I always reference Tyler Martin again, the creator of The Antagonist. He posted saying, there's too many publishers, not enough books. And I totally agree. Ever since the lockdown happened, people quit their jobs or lost their jobs, and they're like, I can focus on my creatives. And they just want to turn that into a lucrative way of getting money. And there's nothing wrong with that. For me, I don't see myself creating a business. I've been thinking about like, wow, can this become a business? But I don't want to have a business because then I will be pulling away from the creative aspect of it. I don't have that attention span to do that. And I know myself. I'd rather work under someone that gives me free reign. So I'd rather have a leader that gives me free reign. So again, I'm not saying I'm a follower. I'd rather just focus on one thing, be creative.
Well, you'd rather focus on the creativity rather than the running business, like the minutia of it.
So when people are like, yeah, you got to do this, this, and this, I'm like, yeah, but that's fine. But then like, who's going to run my company? The other day I had a thought was like, what if the closest thing I would do is I've always dreamed of like buying out Midtown Comics. Never going to happen. If I came into billions of dollars, that would be my first purchase. I'd be like, I'm buying this. It's mine now. Like I want to own a comic book store. Mm-hmm. Like you see how you have a sandwich shop? For me, it's a comic book store. But that's like a side gig or side dream if I don't become a writer director. You know what I mean? I have a quick idea. What if we just do a sandwich shop / comic book store?
Call it Comic Sam's.
Yeah.
Like
I'm with it.
Like Comic Sans?
Yes.
Comic Sam's. I'm so down.
That'd be so dope.
That's a new dream.
That's the new
comic book sandwich shop, Comic Sam's.
The only way to get in is to bring a comic book. That is your entry. Bring a comic book, and then you can
with
purchase
every 5th sandwich, you get a free comic. And vice versa. With every 5th comic, you get a free sandwich.
Yeah, because not everyone is going to want to eat. So yeah, true. So you got to buy a book. It's easier to buy books because you could come in and buy 5 books and be like, can I have a sandwich? Because you still made profit. Yeah. Let's keep our ideas off the air. We'll talk about.
You gotta write that down. Comic Sans. New business idea.
But no, what was our conversation about? We just had we had a Jimmy Neutron brain blast right now. Again, I'd rather just create. There's too many. What was I saying? There's too many companies, guys trying to be publishers and not enough books. And I agree. He also made a valid point too. He's like, when it comes to creating books, you look at both art types he shows 2 pictures. Both pictures are art, but one has a higher quality. Which one, when you go to the comic store, which one are you going to choose? The one that's not high quality or the one that is? And then again, art is subjective. But it's like when you buying a comic book. You want good art.
Hmm.
You know, not expecting to be the Jim Lees or the Alex Rosses of the world, but you gotta do that stuff. I'm like trailing off, but yeah. What was our
Yeah,
original?
the topic I want that we were originally talking about is
Yeah, I'm like,
the creatives, I guess,
yes, there we
arsenal
go.
of
Thank you.
work and seeing where they started to where they are now.
Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah,
going for. I was trying to go back to that. I was trying to recall that. But yeah, I've thought about that. Like, where would like in 20 years? Like, I can't be at my job. I can't be here. I want to be somewhere else. But we never know. I could be doing something like, what if like God willing just stuck his hand down on earth and he's like not even two, like 10, 15 years later, he's like, yo, you're just working on a Ninja Turtles movie with anyone you choose. I'd be like, what? That is a dream for me to redo, or a comic. Or the comic is great, but like to give me a rated R Ninja Turtles movie, I'll be like, and I'll lie to a company, not even lie. I'll tell them the truth. I'll be like, yo, I'll do this low budget. Like, give me 50 mil. I will give you a Ninja Turtles movie.
A good
and
one, like an actual like.
I'll be like, you remember? I'll be like, I'll give you the Joker, but in Ninja Turtles form. Like, I just need a low budget.
All you would have to do is the fucking this book you already the story you already wrote.
No, I would get a rated R. It wouldn't cost me to do my comic book into
just condense all script. 4 into one movie. That's not hard at all.
Yeah. I would I'd go ham and they'd be like, this costs this much. I'm like, yes. I didn't need to, well, like CGI, like for the times I would have like some CGI they're not 10-foot tall mutants again, because that didn't make sense for the latest movie. Like, they're huge giants that are doing ninja stuff. That doesn't make any sense. Like, they're already mutants. They don't need to be that big. They're already in regular human form. They could just be regular 5 to 6 feet. Obviously muscular.
I say you go back to the roots and just do Jim Henson puppets, like costume, practical effects.
It just wouldn't be. It wouldn't. Everything else would be practical. Like, I would do the Batman, but with a CGI, with practical, but with CGI. Like, so there would be practical. It would be a marriage with like in Force Awakens with Star Wars. Like, just you see how they did that with it would be something like that. But then when they get into the fighting, it has to be CGI because you can't do that with practical. You can figure it out.
I mean, the original 90s one was, they did exactly that, Jay.
Yeah, but I want to do some perfect. I would want to do more cool stuff, and I don't want to be ripping. I don't want to be paying. I would pay someone to figure that out. That's where the budget is going. Everything is practical. I would do a chase scene like in the comics. I have a chase scene in my comic book in the classic. Yeah, I would do all those things. But no, it would be dope. Hand of God coming down here and just blessing me with that, and I die the next day, but won an Oscar for Best Picture. It'd be the first comic book movie to win Best Picture in the Oscars, and I'm dead. As long as I can see that from heaven or wherever I am in the next life, I'm okay with it.
I feel like Pie in the Sky Dream Project. I'd probably really want to do either Hercules or Hunchback of Notre Dame.
And not Disney properties? Or you mean...
I mean, it could be Disney, but I would want to do a live action version of them. Preferably Disney because I like the characters that they have with it. Maybe not like... No, for Hunchback also. Like, if I had access... Like, if Disney somehow was like, hey, dude...
And they would have to get the rights. They would have to get the rights for live actions because I don't believe they do. Because there was 2 Hercules movies that came out that weren't under Disney. It was Legendary and
Hercules is a public domain. It's a Greek character.
Oh, it is. Okay, dope. Didn't know that.
Like Hercules, like that. I mean, obviously they all have their own spins on it, but it's Greek mythology.
Oh, okay.
Hunchback of Notre Dame is based off of a freaking book from forever ago.
Oh, so then I guess that's just me making it up. I just was wondering why they never did a live version.
No, I mean
But then I guess
Hercules is slated, like they're rumored that it's gonna come out. Remember we talked about it on the show that for whatever fucking stupid reason they want to base some of it off of TikTok. Yeah, dude, we spoke about it on the show.
I forgot.
Yeah, it was like inspired, like TikTok inspired or some shit, and I was like, ugh. So that's, I mean, and if I could have my dream casting for that, it would have been probably 10 years ago. I think would have been the perfect time for this. But it would have been Chris Pratt as Hercules, Anna Kendrick as Meg, keep Danny DeVito as Phil.
You think Anna Kendrick and first of all, Anna Kendrick is great, but for Meg,
yeah, it'd be
anyone
the
else?
Same character that she does in Pitch Perfect. Same type of character.
I guess you mean like her personality.
Yeah, the personality traits. It's the same thing. That alt girl that doesn't care about anything, and then like on the inside is actually really like mushy. Like she'd kill it.
Okay.
The only thing that I go back and forth with is Hades. I don't know, cause like I heard rumors back in the day that it was gonna be
I don't know off the top of my head, Will Ferrell.
He's too jokey. This guy.
Yeah, but wouldn't you want to see his range? I've never seen Will Ferrell's range.
I honestly speaking, if I had my way, I would want Hades to play a little closer to like a devil character, less jokey, but I would probably give it to Stanley Tucci. Stanley Tucci. Yeah. Again, this is 10 years ago. Like all of these people 10 years younger.
Gotcha.
That's sad what I would have done. But I don't know. And then like Hunchback of Notre Dame, I feel like it's such a fucking, and I think that Disney will never touch it live action. Mm-hmm. It's so religiously charged that it would be really hard to come out with now. Because the entire thing, it's very, very Christian.
Yeah.
Like, and a lot of it takes place in churches. It deals with a lot of like spiritualism. I mean, shit, the bad guy has like this lust of Esmeralda, and there's a whole number about it, about how if she doesn't want to be with him, then he damns her to the like flames of hell. Like, there's a lot of adult themes and a lot of religious themes that go with in that story. Yeah. I mean, they basically do genocide of a bunch of like gypsies, like just straight up killing all of them. They set fire to Paris. Like there's so much shit in that movie.
If they did do that, it would be a different company. It wouldn't be Disney. Like they can't.
There's Disney so much shit in that movie that it's astounding to think about it. And like Disney in the 90s let that shit come out. Nowadays, there's no way that it could come out. There's no way. It would offend too many people. So
yeah, stop being offended, people.
Like I would make that shit rated R. Like I would make a Hunchback of Notre Dame, and like I think that shit would do really, really well.
Just call it Notre Dame, or just take out half the title. It's either Notre Dame or Hunchback. People get it.
It's like, and one thing that always hurt me, like even to this day, I get sad about it. He doesn't end up with the girl, and then you think about it, and it's like he kind of can't.
Yeah, he kind of can't. But then that does, for people that either saw themselves in him, it sucks for their self-esteem.
Like, and that's the other thing. Like, it's he's the hero and he wins at the end.
Hmm.
But it's not like a fairy tale story. He
Yeah.
also has to kill his father, his father figure, the one that like raised him and all that, who was also a terrible human being. But he does that. Um, they almost get killed by a bunch of gypsies in the catacombs of Paris, in that mass
Mhm.
grave. There's so much dark imagery involved, and even there's a lot of
Yeah,
like
the 90s, the 80s and 90s for Disney animation, there's a lot of
lot of
undertones there.
dark tones also, especially like there's scenes with. So there's a scene in the beginning where they show the saints that are carved into Notre Dame, and
Mm,
it's when Frollo looks up and he's about to kill the baby, which is like,
mm,
another thing. He kills the mom on the church steps and then is about to drown the baby. They do these intense close-ups on the Notre Dame at night and all these like peering eyes. It's scary imagery.
yeah.
Um, and then there's another one when he's, has his big musical number about him being in love with Esmeralda. In his mind, like he has all of these monks that are lined up and they're hooded figures, almost like Grim Reapers, kind of judging him and like going along with the song of what's going on. Because the whole
Mm,
thing is he's saying like, is it his fault that lust and sin is overtaking him? Like,
mm,
is it his fault that these bad things are so powerful? And if it is, then give him the strength to kill this person. Like, a lot of it
it's
is
wild.
extremely crazy to think
It's
about.
crossover because then it's all sing-songy too. So they're like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, it's just a
But if you
movie.
listen to like that song in particular, I like to listen to it. I forgot the artist who does a
When you're
cover of it.
driving, you'd like to listen to it.
Yeah, I will listen to that song on repeat. It's called Hellfire, and there's an artist who does an acoustic cover of it. Well, it's not acoustic. It's what the fuck is it called? Acapella. It's an acoustic acapella cover of it, and it's just this one guy, and it's such a power. It's almost like an opera, like how he
Mhm.
sings it, and it's like the deep, like it's like a soul wrenching song to hear, because he's like like some of the words in it is like, is it my what one of the lines is it my fault that in God's plan he made the devil so much stronger than a man? That alone is such a hard hitting, like philosophical and theological like question to hear. Like, I think I could fucking rock that shit out in rated R. Like, that would be
MVP just 13. Like, yeah.
that or Hercules, one of those two. That's the dream for me. An
Would
adult
your Hercules
version, like actual, like real.
would your Hercules be if it was to come out like now or in the future, would it be on the err on the side of like the superhero genre? Like now obviously he's not like flying around dude, but like would it have that similar
Mm,
like I think of Hercules with The Rock. Like I enjoy that movie. Um it came out around in the times of the Marvel movies, so
yeah.
it worked. But then it's also like it was The Rock. You know what I mean?
I think I would like to have it more of a kind of like a Greek tragedy. Like, I think I would want it to be closer
So
to like,
it's not gonna be as is it not gonna be like funny or
yeah, I don't want
comical
it to
like
be as,
the cartoon?
yeah, like I don't want it to be as sing-songy and
Oh yeah, there no sing
comical.
song. Oh,
Um
most of the remakes were had did have songs. So yeah.
so I don't like I don't mind, like I would want it to have music, but I almost would like it to be where I like the juxtaposition of heroes that don't win. So like a hero that, in all sense of the word, he is a good person. They do good deeds and all that, but at the end of it, like they don't really win. Like they don't get the thing.
So Hercules wouldn't win in that.
So in the I mean, depending on which thing that you're reading, whether it's Hercules or Heracles, and then on top of that, with like, you know, other versions of Hercules, live action or cartoon, and then you have the Disney one. They all have different
No, I'm
versions
saying
of.
what would you do? Like I'm saying for
Oh,
like if this is
so
under
I would have
Disney,
it.
like
I
yeah,
would
this
have
is
it
talking.
follow pretty pretty closely. I always loved the the device of the muses telling the
Mm.
story of Hercules. I enjoyed that a lot. I think that's something that I would like to keep and have them be the storytellers and tell the story of Hercules. But would I have him like quote unquote win in the end? I mean, like, what's the definition of winning? Like, does he get the
Yeah,
girl and stay a human? I mean,
that would
probably.
be that would be the best place to do that type of uh I guess research on whether like because the way the movie ends, he goes he chooses to stay down
Yeah,
there.
so
Like he
he
can make
earns his godhood by saving Meg, and
yeah.
then he is like, "No, you know what? I can't. If she can't come with me, I'm not gonna go." So I don't like. I feel like I would have Meg die if
That's
I'm
what I was
being
gonna say.
honest.
Like I was gonna say like, or if you're gonna do that, then she's dead, but you can't come. Like it's like he lost both.
So I
Or
saw
like
this thing and I thought it was a
mm,
really good like creative exercise. I saw it a couple weeks back, and one of the YouTubers that I watch, shout out to Drawfee. It's coffee but Drawfee. Um, they're they're four artists. I've talked about them before. They they used to work for College Humor. Now they're independent. They do their own thing. So one of the exercises that they did was they reimagined cat like uh cartoon characters, but as villains. So they reimagined they imagined Hercules as Hades. So
mm.
Phil and Pegasus became the new Pain and Panic. So it's all aesthetically. They drew it out and like rendered it really nice and all that. And in my head, I immediately was like, okay, so in that version, Hercules is the fallen hero. He doesn't save Meg, and his rage causes him to kill Hades, and then he takes up the mantle. I think like I would like to explore that, like see the fall of a hero, and like he does all these things to get it right, but at the end of the day, not even a quote unquote god can control fate. If she was destined to die, she was gonna die. And then with that, since he's so distraught, he then becomes Hades and wages war on the gods on Mount Olympus. So he goes from being the savior of Mount Olympus to being this fallen hero. And
So basically, the entire Hercules movie, but changing that fact.
yeah,
But
the
then
ending being like he doesn't.
that would lead into like let's make a sequel,
Yeah, like
and maybe this would be like kind of like what Zack Snyder was trying to do with Superman. What you do is make him the fallen hero.
it would be like Hercules mashed up with Revenge of the Sith, because you would follow Hercules during the normal things that we've seen him do. He's always demigod that has to prove himself. He's the in real myth he's the bastard son of Zeus, but he has to prove himself to gain his godhood. Um, and in falling in love is like the problem. He falls in
Mm.
love with Meg, loves her, finds out that it's Hades pulling the strings, and he goes to save her and all that shit. It doesn't work out. Hades is the true evil that we think he is, and he ends up truly taking the soul of Meg, and Hercules can't handle it. So in his humanness, because a true god wouldn't do this, they wouldn't
Hey,
react out of
you would have
emotion.
Hades do this.
What?
You would have Hades do this. I thought it was because like why would he wage war on?
So the whole thing being that fate is controlled or set or prophesized by the gods. So the fates in Greek mythology are these three like crones that they're
Yeah,
in Macbeth too. Like they just
they're in the movie too.
yeah, they're in the movie. There's always the three fates, the three crones, whatever we want to call them. They tell the future. So those three are not in Hades' employ, but Hades goes to them to make sure that his plan to overthrow Zeus
It's
and Mount
going, yeah.
Olympus wins. So at the end of it, seeing that he could have gained his godhood through saving her, but couldn't, and then the gods wouldn't allow anything to be reversed, Hercules' mindset changes. So in his emotional outbursts, like losing Meg, he would kill Hades, whether that be with his bare hands or throw him into the River of Souls, whatever the hell it is. Hades is gone now. And with Hades gone, somebody needs to take up the mantle ruling the underworld. That being the person who killed him. So like Santa Claus rules, right? So he dons the suit and all that. But in so doing, he now has this rage of like, I couldn't save the girl I loved. I couldn't receive the godhood that I wanted. And on top of that, now I'm stuck here doing this thing. I'm now the thing that I hated, I have now become. So the only person to blame for this being Zeus and the gods, because they allowed him to become mortal. They allowed Hades to do this plan. They didn't allow fate to be changed. Like, I can see him now turning his sights to Olympus and for Hercules to actively change anything as the god of the underworld, like that would go against the natural order, so Mount Olympus would have to stop him. But now he has nothing to lose, so why would he let anyone stop him? And he would just rip through the different gods that come his way. So that's how I would imagine it. Like Hercules becoming this fallen hero and becoming a bad guy. Whereas like if I got to do Hunchback, I would really up the heavy-handedness and dark imagery. Whereas with Hercules, I would want to explore the alternate ending of him being a bad guy at the end.
I likes.
So
they'll be like, no.
Absolutely. No one, they would never let me do that shit.
What are you talking about? But, you stupid?
But that's the dream. But now with that, I think we can wrap it up here. Unless you have anything else to talk about, Jay.
No, I don't want to say it on here. We'll end it there. Okay. No, because it's just like news related, so it's not even crazy.
Okay. So with that, we're gonna end J&J After Dark. I am Jay, Justin Ruiz.
And I'm Jay, Jeremy fucking Francois, because I can curse here.
Thank you for joining us. We'll see you soon.
Deuces.